Hey and welcome. Brink-Castleberry with JustAskHim.com. And today we want to take a look at redirecting your default WordPress feed over to Feedburner using a plugin. Now, here on my main feed, this is the default feed that is built into WordPress. Now, I'm viewing it in Chrome with a plugin just because Chrome doesn't view it by default. Now, Firefox, it'll look just slightly different, but rather similar. What you'll see, though, is that even with it between the different browsers, it's going to look kind of stark. There's not a lot going on, and that's okay. It actually displays more when it's viewed in the feed reader. But you'll see that it doesn't have a lot of tools that actually help you out. And in particular, the most important one missing is analytics. And so there's nothing wrong with using the default WordPress feed, but a lot of bloggers and a lot of marketers want additional statistics on their feeds. And so we turn to using services such as FeedBlitz and Feedburner. Now, you don't need both. Let me clarify. Feedburner is a company that was bought by Google, so Feedburner is owned by Google now, and this is my feed once it's been burned by Google, which means converted. Okay, Google converted this feed, and it not only looks better, but it has analytics tracking ability, and it has additional tools, and the branding is better, and it has a lot of stuff going on. Now, I personally lately have fallen in love with my FeedBlitz feed. You can see that my FeedBlitz feed looks very modern. It's got a lot of social media tools. I've been able to link it to my social accounts, things like that. I really like my FeedBlitz feed, but because most bloggers today are using Feedburner, we're going to take a look at Feedburner. Now, as I mentioned in a prior blog post, there's a couple ways you can redirect your feed. You can redirect your normal feed using either code or using a plugin. I have a prior post that mentions how to do it with code, and today we're going to take a look at a plugin. Now, if you've done this before, you might have used the Feedburner Feedsmith Extend. The Extend plugin has actually not been updated in about a little over almost a year now, and is really starting to fall out of date. You can see there's no support threads on it. It's not a plugin that's in trouble. There's really no reason to migrate yet. But if you're just getting started, it's useful to start with a plugin that's being currently supported and that hasn't fallen out of support. And so for that, most people today are using the well-supported FD Feedburner plugin. These plugins are functionally very, very similar. They look very similar in their setup, in their settings. They're real simple to use. Let's have a look. If you come back to your WordPress dashboard, you have redirect my feeds here and redirect my comment feeds. And you have just a couple options. In the old plugin, you have a couple links, and you have the link for the my feed or the main feed and the comments feed. Okay, you see I can click this little, oh, that actually doesn't link. It's a link, but it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm here. I've gone to plugins, add new, and I've installed the FD Feedburner plugin. Again, a very well supported plugin, very current. It's been updated recently, and showing that it's been well taken care of. We've installed it. We've come to settings, Feedburner. And here, what you have is that your site has two feeds. You have your main feed, and your comments also have a feed. Most people actually don't use their comments feed, and very few people actually take advantage of the comments feed. So that's not the particularly important portion here. The important portion here is this redirect my feeds here. And in this case, you're going to take your Feedburner URL, and you're going to take that, and you're going to come back. And we're going to go to test, and we're going to paste that in there. And I can tell it whether I want it to do or not to redirect the category feeds. I do want it to redirect those feeds. Actually, come to think of it, you need to decide whether that's appropriate for you. Generally, we do, but there will be some cases where you might not wish to. Whether you want to append the tags into there, and so for the URL, and whether to redirect or not redirect the search result feeds. I don't tend to redirect a lot of other stuff. If you just do this, you're really off to a good start. The problem is that a lot of people fail to redirect at all. They set up the Feedburner feed, and they link their little chiclet, their little icon on their blog, to the Feedburner feed, but their WordPress feed still exists. So you have two matching feeds with duplicate content, and you have two matching feeds that can be subscribed to separately, and not only serves to confuse the reader, but also will not get you a correct analytics or correct metrics count. And so you want to get them all redirected to the right place. Okay, and so all you do is you put that in there and you click save. Now, it's worth noting that it may not appear to redirect until you've published a new post, okay? If you haven't wrote anything to the feed isn't easy for it to modify, so it may not show up as redirected right away. And that little notice is here in case you forget that. And what this is going to do, let's see if it does apply for us today, is I'm going to come out to this site and I'm going to go to /feed. I'm going to see if this works. Oops, it ain't gonna work because I'm in maintenance mode. Settings, maintenance mode. Deactivate. Yeah, your feed doesn't work so well in maintenance mode. And what you saw there is that I went from the URL I was on, it automatically redirected. So test.justaskkim.com/feed. So this is the blog's feed. And as soon as I hit enter, the URL is going to change and it redirects me over to the Feedburner URL. And this is correct. This is what you want it to do. Now, one other little quick trick is that I've discovered this recently, is that if you happen to be a FeedBlitz user, you actually can use the same plugin to redirect the feed and point it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in the plugin. I have my FeedBlitz feed URL. I'm going to come back into the plugin, put my FeedBlitz feed URL in there, set whatever settings I need, click save, come back to the front of the site, come back to feed, and boom, bada boom, bada bing, we have redirected to my Feedburner feed. Now, the settings are all going to be very similar. This plugin really is not built necessarily for use with FeedBlitz. However, because it's basically just a redirect plugin, it's really a very simple plugin under the hood, and you can redirect very cleanly. And what you'll see is that the importance here is that it passes off correctly, and so it makes sure that all your subscribers end up where they belong. Okay, that is how you redirect your burned feed or your FeedBlitz feed over to where it belongs, and that you make sure that your native WordPress feed is pointed correctly to prevent SEO errors. You can see the plugins are super simple to use. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing from you.